Aegis Station drifted in the shadow of a dying star, silent and still. It looked abandoned. Broken solar panels floated beside it. Cracks ran down its outer hull like scars. There was no movement, no lights. For anyone passing by, it would seem like just another lost relic of the early days of human expansion, left behind and forgotten. But inside, it was very much alive. Deep within the core of Aegis, a single human sat alone. Captain Ava Renner leaned back in her command chair, staring at the screen in front of her. Her hair was tied back, her uniform plain and clean, her expression calm. The room around her was dim, lit only by blue control lights and the faint glow of a nearby neutron star. Her heartbeat was steady, her breathing even. She had been waiting a long time. "Warden," she said quietly. "Confirm anomaly." The station's AI responded in a voice that was smooth and calm, almost too calm. "Confirmed. Signal detected at outer edge of gravitational well. Pattern matches known Jur Dominion scout ping. Passive only. No return pulse sent." Ava didn't move. She stared at the screen, watching the signal pattern repeat. Just a whisper in the void. Almost nothing. Almost. Visual. Negative. Line of sight obstructed. Estimated time to visual. 6 minutes. She closed her eyes for just a moment. The Jur were here. She had always known they would come. The Jur Dominion was expanding again. They had swallowed 3 colonies in the past 5 years. Every time they moved in quickly, harvesting technology, scanning DNA, and leaving ruin behind. They weren't just conquerors. They were devourers. Hive-mind parasites wearing starships like armor. Aegis Station had been listed as destroyed decades ago, after a reactor accident. But that accident had been staged, hidden under a false report, all to bury the truth. Aegis was never a colony station. It was a prototype, a trap, a ghost ship built to fool enemies and feed data back to Earth. Its real purpose was simple: wait, watch, survive. And when the time came, strike. The console in front of her beeped. "Visual contact established," Warden said. Ava sat forward. The image flickered into view. A sleek, organic-looking vessel, its surface pulsing faintly like a living thing. It slid through space with the silence of a shark beneath the water. She stared at it. The scout ship didn't know it had been seen. "Stealth systems holding? Confirmed. We are cold. Power signature matches local debris." "Good." For a while, she said nothing. The scout ship drifted closer, sweeping the area with soft scans. Ava's fingers moved over her panel, pulling up old data. Ship class, power output, shield configuration, all matched. She had trained for this. Every pattern, every tactic, every escape route the Jur had ever used. "Do we engage?" Warden asked. Ava looked at the screen. "No," she said. "Let them get comfortable." The trap wasn't ready yet. But it would be. Minutes passed. The Jur ship moved past the station, slowly turning. Its long-range scanners swept across space, unaware that it was now being watched from within the very wreckage it had come to investigate. Then, a new alert. "Long-range FTL distortion detected," Warden said. "Multiple contacts. Estimated fleet size, 24 vessels. Arrival in system, 37 minutes. Ava sat up straighter. Her fingers froze above the console. So this wasn't just a scout. This was a fleet. They were coming to claim this region, just like the others. And they didn't know what they were flying into. She stood and walked slowly to the main viewport. From here, she could see the star itself. A blazing white-blue dot burning with unimaginable force. It was the perfect place to hide a trap. Radiation masked most energy signatures. Debris from old mining stations floated in irregular patterns. All noise, no signal. She reached out and tapped a control pad embedded into the wall. A quiet vibration ran through the floor. All around the station, hidden systems began to hum. Weapons once thought experimental came to life. Targeting computers aligned silently in the dark. And deep in the lower decks, machines stirred that hadn't moved in years. Ava turned back toward her chair. "Warden," she said. Load Protocol 9. Are you sure? Yes. Loaded. She sat back down, her face unreadable. Let them come. The scout ship began transmitting a short-range burst toward the edge of the system. It had seen something. Maybe it was suspicious. Maybe it had guessed the truth. But it was too late. A soft blue pulse flickered across the screen. Scout destroyed, Warden said. There had been no explosion. No warning. One moment the ship was there, the next gone. Taken apart on a molecular level. Ava stared at the screen, her voice soft. That's one. She leaned forward and whispered, almost to herself. Let's see how many more it takes before they realize. They walked into a graveyard, and in the dark, Aegis Station waited. Commander Cyrith of the Jur Dominion stood tall in the control chamber of the lead vessel Coral Maw. His body was long and sinewy, covered in dark, chitinous armor that pulsed faintly with bioelectric light. Around him, dozens of neural drones hovered silently, connected to the ship by thin, glistening strands. He didn't speak aloud. He thought, and the ship obeyed. The fleet had just entered the system. It was quiet, too quiet. The Jur Dominion had absorbed hundreds of star systems. They didn't conquer like others. They consumed technology, species, knowledge. They believed in only one law, adapt or be erased. Most prey screamed. Some fought back. None had lasted long. Cyrith's mind brushed against the hive link. His fellow commanders, 12 in total, waited for his lead. The scout has not returned. A pause. Echoes of thought passed between them. It may have failed. Unlikely. The scout was chosen for its stealth systems. Then something else is here. Cyrith's mind narrowed. He focused on the neutron star spinning at the center of the system. Its radiation made sensors sluggish, distorted. A strange location for a human outpost. There was supposed to be nothing here, just an old relay point from their early expansion. Dead. Forgotten. But the scout had vanished here, and the silence felt wrong. Begin scan pattern Theta 4. Full pulse. Risky. Necessary. One of the secondary vessels lit up with a low thrum as its biological scanners began to sweep the system. Blue ripples moved through the void like waves on a pond. Nothing. Then something. A faint energy spike near a field of broken satellites and station wreckage. Echo. Artificial. Hard to say. The radiation interferes. Cyrith narrowed his eyes. A signal had bounced back from the scan. Weak, fractured, and short, like a voice breaking apart in a storm. He focused on the coordinates. It looked like debris, burned metal, scattered solar wings. But there was a shape buried in it all. A shape too regular to be natural, too still to be floating loose. Order all ships to hold position. What is it? Unknown. He reached for one of his personal scouts, a fast-wing drone ship, and directed it toward the anomaly. The fast wing darted through space, its body slender like a needle. It approached the debris slowly, cameras open, sensors wide. Nothing moved. Still, nothing. Then the drone ship flickered. Not exploded, just vanished. One moment it was sending data. The next it was gone. No warning. No trace. Second drone destroyed. Confirmed. What weapon did that? There was no signature. The hive mind shivered. Not fear, not yet, but confusion. That was rare. The Jur did not like mysteries. Everything had a place. Everything followed rules. But this did not. Form attack wedge. Ready half the fleet. Close on the debris field. 12 ships moved in perfect silence, forming a tight formation as they neared the wreckage. Aboard the Coral Maw, Cyrith watched. He amplified the visuals. What looked like wreckage began to change. Shadows shifted. Shapes adjusted. No, not wreckage. Cloaked structure. Dormant vessel? Then, a pulse. It wasn't energy. Not heat. Not magnetic. It was information. A data burst broadcast on an old Earth frequency. It repeated twice. Simple English. Leave. Now. Cyrith tilted his head. His drones buzzed. They decoded the message instantly. A warning? An attempt to intimidate? Primitive. Cyrith disagreed. He didn't say so. Not yet. But deep in his core something stirred. Not fear. Caution. Proceed with caution. Assume resistance. The fleet moved closer. Then it began. From the heart of the wreckage, a shape unfolded. Long armored arms pushed outward. Rotating structures came to life. Energy bled from hidden vents. What had looked like an abandoned station bloomed into a sleek, angular predator of metal and silence. Aegis had awakened. Enemy vessel detected. Small. Engage. Cyrith hesitated. Before he could reply, the station fired. But not like any weapon he had seen. A ripple passed through space. Too fast to trace, too quiet to track. One Jur ship shuddered, then exploded. Not from the outside, from within. It ruptured like a dying fruit, its systems shredded from inside out. Crew, drones, biomass gone in seconds. Type unknown. Countermeasures failing. Shields useless. Panic hit the hive mind like lightning. Cyrith pulled control back into his own body. He severed 3 links, ships he deemed already lost. Fall back. Regroup. But as they turned, Aegis moved. It wasn't fast. It didn't need to be. Dozens of weapon ports opened across its hull. Most of them unlike anything Jur records had seen. No missiles. No plasma. Just directed pulses, data waves, electromagnetic disruption fields. One by one, Jur ships began to fail. No fire. No light show. They just stopped working. Cyrith locked eyes with the image of the station on his screen. Cold. Silent. Watching. And then a message came again. This is Aegis. You are not welcome. This is your only warning. Cyrith tasted fear for the first time in 100 years. This wasn't a forgotten station. It was a sentinel. And it had been waiting for them. Ava watched as the Jur fleet pulled back, their formation broken, their ships scattering like birds surprised by a sudden noise. Her fingers rested lightly on the control panel, but she didn't press anything yet. Warden was handling the targeting. She didn't need to fire again, not yet. They're trying to understand, she said aloud, though no one was listening except the AI. Yes, Warden replied in its calm voice. Their hive communication is disrupted. Several ships have lost sync. Ava nodded. That's why we hit the internal control systems. Not the hull. Not the engines. Make them question everything. They are not used to being hunted. She smiled faintly. Neither were we. Until we learned. The screen showed the scattered enemy fleet. Some ships spun slowly, trying to reboot. Others were holding position, pointing weapons into empty space, expecting another invisible strike. They had no idea where the attack had come from, or how. Ava stood up and stretched her arms. Her body ached from sitting for hours, but her mind was sharp, focused. She'd trained for this moment. She had waited years in silence while Aegis slept. The station had no crew, just her, the AI, and a graveyard full of machines built for one purpose. Defense. Silent, final, unmerciful defense. She walked down the narrow metal hallway outside the command room. Lights flicked on as she passed, cold white circles that faded behind her. The walls were lined with weapons bays, each one locked tight. But they would open soon. She could feel it. The Jur weren't leaving. Not yet. They were too curious. Too proud. They would come back. And the next time, they'd bring more firepower. Ava reached the lower level, the armory and engineering deck. Here, strange machines hummed quietly. Most were half-forgotten human tech, built in black labs that didn't officially exist. Some were barely understood by the people who had created them. She walked past a long crate marked -9 Malawian Kwacha's Wraith torpedo, unauthorized for field use. It had a faded warning label, "Do not deploy in populated systems." That made her smile. She placed a hand on the casing. Cold. Still. Waiting. "Warden," she said. "Begin weapons diagnostics. If they come again, I want a full counterstrike plan ready." "Already done," the AI replied. "Strike pattern Theta is prepared. Alpha 2. I have also modified Omega for single-ship rapid deployment. She raised her eyebrows. You really think they'll try boarding? They do not know this is a trap. Some of them will try to explore it. Then we'll give them a tour. Back on the command deck, red lights began to blink. Warden brought up new data on the display. Multiple warp signatures detected. For more ships entering the system. Heavier class. Let me guess. Reinforcements. Most likely. War-class biomass hulls. 2 with high energy signatures. Flagships. Ava returned to her seat and stared at the screen. 4 massive ships emerged from the shadows near the star. Their shapes were like nightmares. Organic curves mixed with spiny weapon nodes, pulsating with unnatural light. They made no sound. But they didn't have to. Their presence was enough to shake lesser defenders. But Ava wasn't afraid. She leaned forward, elbows on the console. Now we see what they do when scared. The Jur fleet began to reorganize. Their new commanders re-established the hive sync. Orders passed between them like electric currents. They began to circle the debris field again, tighter this time. More cautious, but still hunting. They don't know what Aegis is, Ava whispered. They think it's just a forgotten shell. They are beginning to guess, Warden replied. Analysis of their pattern suggests they now suspect intelligent design. They're right. We were very intelligent about this. Years ago, when Earth Command first proposed Aegis, the plan was simple. Build a station so deep in dead space no one would expect it to be active. Hide weapons inside it that were too dangerous for normal use. Place a human guardian, someone trained to think like an enemy, not a soldier. A hunter. And then wait. Wait until the wrong kind of fleet entered the wrong system. Wait until someone like Ava could remind them that humanity didn't build empires. They built warnings. She reached for the manual override. Open bay doors, she said. Confirmed. Arming Wraith package. Preparing cloak pulse. Send a message. To who? To all of them. A moment later, every ship in the Jur fleet received the same transmission. Short, cold, in English and translated across multiple alien languages. You've entered human defense space. This is not a battlefield. It's a tomb. Turn back, or stay forever. Ava didn't wait for their answer. She pressed the button, and the sky lit up. The Jur ships responded exactly how Ava hoped they would. They panicked. One of the newer warships turned its hull sharply, trying to charge weapons, but it was too late. The moment Ava hit the command, Aegis Station released its payload 3 Wraith torpedoes, each cloaked in a shimmering distortion field, invisible to most sensors. They didn't fly like normal torpedoes. They drifted, slow at first, harmless looking. But once they reached striking distance, they accelerated with impossible speed, powered by gravitic spikes that tore space behind them. The first torpedo pierced the lead Jur vessel from the side. It didn't explode. Instead, it released a wave of silent blue light. The ship stopped moving instantly. No fire, no noise, just dead silence. Inside, every system was fried. Every biocircuit turned to ash. The crew never even had time to scream. The second torpedo hit a smaller escort ship and did something stranger. It didn't kill it. It hacked it. The ship blinked once, powered down, then powered back up again. But this time under Warden's control. Ava smiled. The third torpedo missed. Or at least it looked like it did. It curved off course, slipping into the star's magnetic wake. One of the Jur commanders laughed across their private link. Primitive weaponry. It missed. But then their own ship began to spin. The torpedo hadn't missed. It had landed a small, silent payload, a disruptor coil that latched onto their hull and began draining power one system at a time. Within seconds, the massive ship's weapons blinked out. Then navigation. Then lights. It was as if the ship had gone blind. The Jur formation broke again. But this time, they weren't just confused. They were scared. Cyrith felt the hive mind fray around him. Thoughts were no longer clean. Fear buzzed like static through the link. He tried to calm them, to reassert order. But the enemy wasn't giving them time. Another human message appeared on every screen across their fleet. You are not fighting an army. You are fighting preparation. He growled, a low guttural sound, more animal than machine. They are using fear as a weapon. It's working. Shut up. Cyrith hissed aloud this time. Reform. Surround the station. Burn it from orbit. The remaining ships obeyed. They moved together, forming a tight ring around Aegis. They prepared to fire all at once. But Aegis was already moving. Massive engine ports flared to life, ones that had never been seen by any other race before. The station rotated smoothly, as if it had been waiting for this exact angle. Dozens of hidden turrets rose from the surface. And then it began to fire, not beams, not plasma, not missiles. Signals. Each one was tuned to a different Jur frequency. Some blocked navigation. Some scrambled commands. Others whispered fake orders directly into the hive link. One Jur ship spun suddenly and opened fire on its own fleet. Betrayal! Someone in the hive link screamed. False commands. This is a trick. Who is speaking? It's not one of us. Chaos. Ava leaned back in her chair as the battle outside turned into a storm of friendly fire and confusion. They're breaking themselves, Warden said. They always do, Ava replied. They've never had to fight uncertainty. The ship Aegis had hijacked earlier turned now, moving in perfect sync with the station. It fired into the back of the nearest warship, cutting through its spine with a precision laser. The enemy vessel tried to return fire, but its own targeting system was still locked on phantom targets. Another Jur ship crashed into a disabled one, trying to avoid a fake collision warning sent by Warden. Both went dark. Within 10 minutes, half the fleet was crippled. Cyrith stared at the mess on his screen. His mind burned with static. The hive was screaming. The drones were useless. Half the crew had gone silent. He'd never seen anything like it. This wasn't war. This was dissection. Every move they made had been predicted. Every weapon had a counter. Every escape was already blocked. Commander, one of the few remaining voices in the link said weakly, "What do we do?" Cyrith did not answer. He looked at the screen. There it was, Aegis Station. Still alive. Still watching. Still silent. And now it sent one last message. We gave you a chance. Now we finish this. Then the screen went dark. And from the heart of the station, a new weapon began to power up. One the galaxy had never seen. The Jur had come to harvest a quiet system. But they had awakened something far worse than resistance. They had awakened the ghost of humanity's darkest creation. And it was not done yet. The new weapon on Aegis Station began to hum. A low, deep vibration spread through space like a pulse from the heart of something ancient and angry. Cyrith watched helplessly as energy readings climbed. His scanners couldn't make sense of it. It wasn't heat. It wasn't radiation. It wasn't like any weapon they had ever seen. Unknown signature. Too fast to track. Too quiet. On board the Coral Maw, alarms rang. Lights flickered. Drones buzzed in confusion. Cyrith stood frozen in place, staring at the growing swirl of energy at the center of Aegis. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. Blue-white strands spun outward like a slow storm building in deep space. This is not possible, someone whispered into the hive link, but it was happening. Inside Aegis, Ava stood calmly, watching from the observation window. The weapon was called Phantom Core. No one knew if it would work. It had never been tested. It had been banned by Earth Command years ago. She smiled. That's why we kept it. Target locked, Warden said. Fire, she whispered. The station didn't shoot a beam. There was no flash, no missile. The energy field around Aegis simply pulsed. Once, from a distance, it looked like nothing. But inside the Jur ships, everything changed. Cyrith felt it immediately. The link, the hive mind, staggered. Not broke, not shattered, twisted. He tried to send orders, but his thoughts bounced back at him. He heard his own voice whispering strange words. His own mind looped. Commands echoed. Fear multiplied. And then came silence. The link died. For the first time in his life, Cyrith was alone in his own head. The silence was worse than any weapon. His ship began spinning slowly, without control. Lights dimmed. Systems froze. His own drones turned to face him as if unsure who he was. "Identify," they demanded. "I am your commander," he shouted. Unconfirmed. The Phantom Core hadn't destroyed the fleet. It had erased its unity. Every ship now floated alone, blind, deaf, and disconnected from the hive. Without shared thought, the Jur were just shadows of themselves, smart, yes, but slow, confused, vulnerable. Aegis struck again. This time, conventional weapons. Lasers, kinetic rounds, rail slugs. Now that the enemy was blind, Ava didn't need to be clever. She just needed to finish it. One by one, the Jur ships died. Some tried to run. Some fired wildly in the wrong directions. Others simply froze, waiting for orders that would never come. And all the while, Ava sat in her chair, calm as ever. "Weapons recharge in 20 seconds, Warden reported. "Don't need them," Ava said. "They're already gone." Cyrith clung to the edge of his command station, breathing heavily. The walls around him blinked red. He couldn't control the ship, couldn't reach his fleet. He was truly alone. Then his screen blinked. A message. One line. "Boarding party en route. Do not resist." He hissed, shaking his head. No, he would not be captured. He would not let them take him. He reached for the self-destruct command. It didn't work. The button didn't respond. The panel was dead. Then came the thud. Metal on metal. Something had attached itself to the side of the ship. Then another thud. Closer. Louder. Something was cutting through the hull. On the Coral Maws bridge, Cyrith turned to face the door. He raised one of his weapons and waited. And then the door opened. Not with an explosion. Just a hiss and a slide. And there she stood. A human in a black pressure suit. Rifle in hand. Helmet gleaming in the emergency light. Captain Ava Renner stepped into the command deck like it belonged to her. "Hello," she said, lowering the weapon slightly. Cyrith snarled. "You did this." "Yes," she replied. "You destroyed the hive." "No," she said quietly. "You destroyed it. I just pulled the last thread." He aimed his weapon, but his arm shook. Ava didn't flinch. "You came here thinking you'd take something from us?" she continued. "A colony, a station, a few tech scraps. But this wasn't a colony. This wasn't even a base." "What was it?" he hissed. She looked around his dying ship, then met his eyes. A warning. Behind her, 2 more humans entered. Silent, focused. Their weapons never left Cyrith. "You have a choice," Ava said. "We end this now, or you go home and tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them what happens when someone steps into a place humanity has marked for defense." He lowered the weapon slowly. Not because he believed her. Because he knew, deep in whatever part of his mind still worked, that she was telling the truth. Aegis wasn't a weapon. It was a message. And the message had been delivered. Cyrith sat in the cold silence of the Coral Maws ruined bridge. The lights were dim. Sparks still fell from open wires. The walls seemed to breathe slowly, like the ship itself was dying. The humans stood nearby, watching him, weapons ready but not aimed. Captain Ava didn't speak right away. She let the silence speak for her. Cyrith looked at her. This small, soft creature who had taken down an entire fleet without ever raising her voice. He didn't understand her. He didn't understand humans. That was the problem. His people thought they were insects. Now he realized they were something else. Something worse. Hunters. "You could have killed us all," he rasped, his voice hoarse. Ava nodded once. "Yes. Why didn't you?" "Because you weren't the real target." Cyrith's eyes narrowed. "Then what was?" "The future," she said. He didn't understand. "Not yet." She turned to one of her soldiers. "Tag this vessel for data recovery. Bring Cyrith to holding. He's going back with us." "What?" He growled. "You're taking me prisoner?" No, Ava said calmly. We're taking you home. He froze. To the Dominion? She gave him a look that was hard to read. You'll deliver a message. Just like your kind sent scouts to test us. We sent a scout too. You? No. Aegis. She gestured through the hull window. The station still floated out there. Silent, massive, and untouched. It was never meant to be a battle station. It was meant to be seen. Cyrith shook his head. We saw it. We still don't understand it. That's the point, Ava said. That fear you're feeling now? That uncertainty? Keep it. Carry it back with you. Cyrith was quiet for a long time. You think we'll run from fear? He asked. I think you'll stop underestimating us, she said. Later, aboard Aegis, the human boarding team returned with data, prisoners, and debris for study. The other Jur ships that hadn't been destroyed had already begun retreating. The fleet was broken, not completely wiped out, but shaken, confused. Most of them didn't even know how they'd been beaten. Warden spoke over the comms. Enemy vessels have left the system. No further contact. Ava sat in the command chair once more, back where it had all started. The blue glow of the neutron star washed across the windows. Send confirmation to Earth Command, she said. Operation GhostNet is complete. Message sent. Any reply? Not yet. She nodded. It might take a few hours. Human space was vast now, connected but stretched. Aegis had been cut off on purpose for years. No outgoing signals, no signs of life. Just a forgotten husk floating in deep space. The perfect bait. Now the bait had snapped its jaws shut. Ava pulled off her gloves and stared at her hands. Small scars lined her knuckles. Training marks. She hadn't fought with fists in a long time, but her body still remembered. Warden's voice broke the silence. You should rest. I will. Your heart rate is elevated. I just saved a solar system, Warden. You do that often. She smiled. It never gets old. She stood and walked to the window, arms crossed. Aegis looked peaceful now. The quiet after the storm. But it would never be just a station again. The galaxy knew about it now. And more would come. Not just the Jur. Others. Curious ones. Dangerous ones. She would be ready. Prepare the secondary layer of defenses, she said. Already done, Warden replied. I am initiating Protocol Echo. Shall I wake the others? Ava paused. Aegis wasn't just hers. It had others. Deep in stasis, hidden in layers of the station most people didn't even know existed. Backup crew. Specialists. AI-hosted minds stored in crystal drives. Soldiers from other battles. No, she said. Let them sleep. For now. She turned back to her chair. I'll stay awake a little longer. A red light blinked once on her screen. Incoming transmission. Not from Earth. From outside known space. She tapped it open. A simple message. We saw what you did. No source. No sender. Just those 5 words. Ava's face didn't change. She whispered, Good. And then she powered up the next wave of traps. Ava stood in the dim light of the control room, staring at the blinking message on the screen. We saw what you did. She didn't know who sent it. No origin. No signal path. No trace. Just those 5 words hanging in space like a whisper in the dark. She turned to Warden. Did we log the transmission? Yes, the AI said. Still analyzing possible origin points, but signal was routed through at least 5 unknown relay nodes. So someone's watching. Or warning. Ava nodded slowly. She had expected this. Aegis had been invisible for so long, but it wouldn't stay that way now. Word would spread, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do with just one silent station and one quiet captain. That alone would change everything. She walked toward the viewing window. Beyond it, the neutron star spun slowly, light stretching and warping around its surface. Aegis floated calmly in its orbit, its weapons powered down for now, its hull still scarred but strong. Behind her, the bridge was quiet. The rest of the crew, engineers, analysts, and the few soldiers awakened after the battle were busy repairing systems, cataloging wreckage, and preparing for the next phase. They didn't talk much. They didn't celebrate. They knew this wasn't victory. It was only the beginning. A small alert flashed on her console. The Dominion prisoner, Cyrith, was awake in the holding cell. She tapped the screen, watched the security camera feed. He sat still in the corner, eyes open, unmoving, no longer angry, just thoughtful. She didn't need to speak to him. He already knew. His mind was already working through the truth. The humans weren't just defending their space. They were defending the idea that they would never again be prey. And they were willing to go further than anyone else to prove it. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Message from Earth Command," Warden said. "Play it." The screen shifted. A familiar face appeared, Admiral Tessa Hong, head of Earth's Outer Defense Program. Her voice was firm and calm. "Captain Ava Renner, acknowledged receipt of full combat log from Aegis Station. Your actions confirm strategic expectations. Well executed. Orders are as follows. Remain on station. Do not engage in further direct combat unless provoked. Continue passive surveillance. Prepare secondary stations." The screen flickered again. A secondary message loaded. Ava's eyes narrowed slightly as she read it. "Other watchers are moving. Unknown factions are probing our border systems. Proceed with caution. The Aegis network will expand. You will not be alone much longer." She nodded to herself. "It's starting." "Yes," Warden agreed. "Humanity has awakened the stars. Then it's time we act like we belong here." She turned to her crew. "Bring up the shipyard network. Begin full deployment of long-range drones. I want every corner of this system mapped. Quietly. Understood. And prepare the stasis vaults. Start reviewing the profiles. Wake the next operator." Warden paused for a second. "You're sure? It won't end here. I won't be enough." In the lower levels of Aegis, lights began to flicker on, soft blue panels lining the stasis chamber. Frosted glass pods hummed as systems came online, slowly preparing the next Guardian for whatever came next. Ava stayed on the bridge. She didn't need to see it. She had done her part. She had delivered the message. The galaxy now knew what humanity stood for. And that message was simple. We don't conquer. We don't chase. But if you come for us, you won't find a battle. You'll find the end of yours. Another alert appeared on the screen. A new unknown ship had entered the outer system. Small, fast, scanning. Not Dominion. Something else. Ava sighed. "Warden." "Yes. Let's welcome them." "Same way." "No," she said, settling back into her chair. "This time, let's just watch." As Aegis powered down its active weapons and switched to passive surveillance, Ava looked out at the stars, a quiet pride settling in her chest. The darkness was still full of threats. But humanity was no longer in the dark. They had built something that watched back. And it was just the beginning. In the silence of space, where no one expected a voice, humanity had spoken. Loud and clear.